Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, I welcome you all to 4Q earnings call of Canara Bank. We have with us senior management of Canara Bank, represented by Shri L.V. Prabhakar, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Shri Debashish Mukherjee, Executive Director, M.S.A. Mani Mekhalai, Executive Director, Shri K. Raju, Executive Director, and other team members on the call. Without taking any more time, I will hand over the call to Shri L.V. Prabhakar for his opening remarks, post which we will open the floor for questions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and very good morning to all of you. Regarding the highlights of the balance sheet as on 31st March 2021, first of all, I would like to discuss something about the liabilities side, then asset side, then recovery along with slippages, and then way forward, and also the impact of the COVID, and also the outcome of the amalgamation of East Syndicate Bank with Canara Bank. As far as liability side is concerned, we have concentrated more on small deposits, that is CASA, and we have achieved 13.95% of growth YOY, and now our CASA is at 3.3 lakh crores. Retail term deposits, another focus area, we have increased by 16.37% YOY. Now it is at 4.21 lakh crores. Bulk, we have discouraged and we have reduced it by 2.82%. As far as overall deposit growth is concerned globally, we have grown at 11.5%, and as far as domestic deposits are concerned, we have grown at 10.5+%. Now coming to the asset side, as we have said in our earlier meetings, we have concentrated more on retail advances. When I talk about retail advances, it is in terms of retail housing, agriculture, MSME, which is otherwise called as RAM segment, and it has grown at 11%. Retail has grown at 12%, housing has grown at 15%, vehicle loans has grown at 13%, agriculture has grown at 17.4%, and MSME about 2.5%. So put together, RAM has grown at 11%, which is a decent growth. And in the earlier meetings, we have said that going forward, our percentage of RAM in the overall asset portfolio will be increasing. As we have projected, now we have achieved 56% of RAM and corporate advances of about 44%. Going forward, our concentration will be more on RAM sector, along with balanced concentration on corporate financing also. Regarding the growth in the retail sector, going forward, yes, we see the growth will be there. And also, as of now, we are not getting any inquiries from the corporates for capex. However, we are getting good proposals under infrastructure and also enhancement in some places where we are aggressively participating. Now coming to the income side, I am happy to share with all of you that the total income, especially the interest income, in spite of reduction in the base rate, MCLR, RLLR, the reduction is only to the extent of 2% YOY, and we could maintain at 69,000 crores. And as far as non-interest income is concerned, we have done very good performance in that one, and the growth is very significant. For example, if you see our fee-based income, we have grown at 19% YOY, 33% quarter-on-quarter. And as far as the recoveries and return of accounts is concerned, here also we have shown a very impressive growth of 19.56% YOY, and quarter-on-quarter, of course, it is 185%. And regarding the other receipts, again, there is a growth of 45%. So total non-interest income YOY, there is a growth of 40%. Quarter-on-quarter, it is 22%, which is a very significant achievement. Now coming to the NPA. During the Q3 results of FY21, we have uploaded the pro forma NPA also. And we said that our gross NPA as per the pro forma NPA as on December is about 60,000 crores. To be more precise, it is 59,776 crores. Audited results of March 21, the gross NPA is at 60,000 crores. We said that gross NPA percentage-wise, we are expecting about 8.95%, and actual audited figure as on March is 8.93%. Net NPS, we have projected as pro forma net NPA as 24,800 crores, and in reality, it is exactly 24,442 crores. Net NPA percentage, we said that we may be at 3.93%, and actual is 3.82%, lesser than what we have projected. Provision coverage ratio, we said it will be 79.45. It is at 79.68. Credit cost, we said it will be somewhere about 2.28, and actually it is 2.09. Yes, slippage ratio is about 2.35%, taking into consideration our asset size of 6.75 lakh crores, 2%, it is coming to about 16,600 crores. Exactly when you compare to the last year, that is FY20, the slippages were to the tune of 22,600 crores. It has come down to 16,600 crores. And the recoveries, our total reduction is to the extent of about 18,000 crores. So basically, when you compare the absolute figure of gross NPA with March 20, there is a reduction of about 800 plus crores. And in the net NPA, there is a reduction of about 2,000 crores. Percentages, as projected, we have maintained those things. This is possible because during the pandemic period, when the people are working from home, we have given specific tasks to our people to be in constant touch with our borrowers and also the depositors, and to explain them about the benefit in repaying and availing the fresh funding. So most of our borrowers have responded to that. And during normal period, the percentage of recovery, or what you call collection efficiency, is to the tune of 92%. Now in April, when the pandemic is now at peak, our collection efficiency is at 88.8%. So there is a dip of 2 to 3%. We are hopeful that going forward, once the pandemic impact is settled, we can make good of this, whatever downfall is there. Now coming to the amalgamation aspect, as you are observing, very smoothly, well before the given scheduled time, we have completed the integration of our software, and now we are working on a latest version of our software, that is 11.8. All my 10,400 branches and offices have been shifted to the new software. Integration of human resources have taken place. We have completed the promotion process, and successfully we have declared the results on 31st March 2021. And the top management postings also we have completed, and they are in place to discharge their duties for the coming 1 year. So there will not be any top level disturbances or top level uncertainty as far as Canara Bank is concerned. Regarding the infrastructure amalgamation, yes, we have completed the amalgamation of infrastructure, and wherever as per the projected plan, the number of branches to be amalgamated or closed and the ATMs to be reshifted or closed, all those things we have executed as on 31st March 2021. And this time I would like to mention to all of you, the most important thing is regarding the operating profit. The operating profit, we could cross a 5-digit figure, that is 20,009 crores, which is really a very attractive figure. And this operating profit of a 5-digit figure really helped us in showing a net profit of 1,010 crores, along with making ample provisions taking into account the future impacts also. Let me share with all of you that we have already made in Q4 500 crores floating COVID provision, which we will be using in the coming quarters. Apart from this, we have made 494 crores resolution provision. When the resolution takes place, the required provisioning is already taken care in the Q4 itself, which will be used in the coming Q1 of FY22. So as far as provisioning is concerned, PCR as of now is 79.68%. Apart from that, we have having a cushion of about 494 crores, which we can use going forward. And other than this, we are projecting a very good, follow-up from our side so that the recoveries will be more than the slippages. Cost of deposits, another important point which we would like to share with all of you. Now it is at 4.52%, has come down from 5.42% last year. Cost of funds, now we are enjoying at 4.07%. Last year it was at 5.05%. Yield on advances, as on March, we are maintaining at 7.73%. And NIM, last year it was 2.51, now it is 2.75. All these parameters are after taking into consideration the impact of the COVID-1. As far as our ratios are concerned, CRAR, we are at 13.18%, Tier 1 is at 10.08%. So, regulatory capital, we have sufficient, and growth capital also we are having. But going forward, maybe in a week's time or 10 days, we are going to hold one board meeting wherein we will be discussing in detail about the future business plan as well as future capital raising plans. However, I would like to mention that the future business growth will be more than what we have already shown in the financial year March 21. So with these few observations, I am open for the question and answers. Thank you very much.
Participants, please note, whosoever wishes to ask a question can do so by pressing the raise hand button on their application. We have a first question from the line of Mr. Bhavik Shah. So please unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hi.
Sir, first, last time you had disclosed the exhaustive slide on restructuring. And this quarter, I could understand there's only outstanding MSME restructured from a BSE filing, and there's a restructuring in the notes. Sir, what would be the total restructuring as on 4Q?
If you see the results which were given and uploaded in SEBI site, MSME restructuring figures we have given, which we did from 1st January 2019. The number of accounts were 1.53 lakhs and amount is 4,800 crores. That is as on 31st March 21. As far as MSME less than 25 crores is concerned. Now coming to other OTRs. Last time we said that during the December results that we are expecting about 10,000 crores of corporate loan to be restructured under OTR scheme. Under that, we have already made a provision of about 494 crores to take care about the 10% provision that has to be made. However, as on date, only 2,700 crores of corporate loan has been restructured under OTR, and one account, which is a public sector account dealing with steel manufacturing, has decided not to use this facility, for which our exposure is about 5,000 crores plus. So we expect that under the restructuring package 1, as far as corporate loans are concerned, our book may be less than 5,000 crores and as on date it is 2,700 crores. As far as retail is concerned, the restructuring has done to the extent of 636 crores. That is already we have given in our presentations. Then apart from this, I think we don't see much restructuring as far as the original restructuring package 1 is concerned. As far as restructuring 2 is concerned, yesterday we had a discussion in the board, and very soon, maybe in 1 or 2 days, we will be issuing the guidelines to our people in the field, and then we will be finalizing the data in consultation with the borrowers to take up for the restructuring, and that figures will be available very soon. But what has happened, those figures are very clear before you, and what is going to happen, I think we will be sharing within maybe 10 to 15 days time.
Okay. So, sir, just to recollect, around 5,000 crore of corporate restructuring is expected, of which 2,700 has already been implemented. Okay. And retail is 636 crores and MSME is 4,800 crores.
That is 4,800 is cumulative from 1st January 2019 to latest. And for the present, if you see only MSME, it is 1,770 crores. Number of accounts is about 45,000.
Okay. Sir, would you help me with NIMs for fourth quarter? So the PPT has cumulative NIMs, I suppose.
Sir, NIM for the fourth quarter, it is 2.75. It is in slide number 24, sir. Last year NIM was 2.51. Now it is 2.75.
Yes, sir. So that is, I guess, cumulative for the whole year.
Yes.
Sir,
it is for the whole year.
Sir, I wanted NIMs only for the fourth quarter.
Okay. We'll be sharing with you.
And sir, I understand quarter on quarter there has been a sharp decline in net interest income. So a part of which can be explained by the interest on interest, which is 125 crores. So what has been the other part? As in, why has the NII declined so much?
Yes, let me explain. MCLR we have reduced from April 20 to April 21 by 50 basis points. And 1 year MCLR is at 7.35. So our aim was to transmit the interest benefit to our borrowers as maximum as possible. Second point is, we have already reversed 125 crores of interest as per the Supreme Court's directions as an ex gratia, which is also factored into the Q4 interest income. Apart from this, we have reversed about 600 crores of interest, 400 crores in Q3 itself we have made provision, put together around 1,000 crores of interest we have reversed to take care about the NPAs that we have classified. In spite of this, there is a good interest income and our interest is at what you call 7.73% yield on advances. And if you see the interest income on advances, last year it was 51,000 crores. In spite of reversal and in spite of COVID impact, still we have 50,000 crores of interest income. And interest on investments is almost stable, I can say. And overall interest, it was 70,800 crores. This time it is 69,240 crores. In spite of discussing about all the, pandemic impact. However, I would like to request you to concentrate on non-interest income, which was our focus area. And we have compensated that by having a growth of 40% from 10,800 crores. The non-interest income has increased to 15,285 crores. And quarter on quarter also there is a growth of 21.86%. And the amount was 5,200 crores. So overall, if you see, interest income we have managed, non-interest income we have increased, interest paid we have reduced drastically to 10%. If you see YOY interest expenses, it has reduced by 10%. Quarter on quarter it is 3.58%. Interest paid on deposit quarter-on-quarter, it is reduced by 4%. Year-on-year, it is 9.71%. So we have compensated on both sides. Whenever we are getting the interest income less, interest paid also we have taken care. And operating expenses, as you can see, we have controlled, and the increase is only 5%, in spite of a bipartite agreement where the staff salaries were increased by 15%. And other operating expenses we have kept flat at 6,600 crores. Last year it was 6,591 crores. So there is a reduction in total expenses by 6.33%, and also interest received is by about 2.5 to 3%.
Okay. So thank you, sir. And
Sir, would request you to please come back. Bhavik, would request you to come back in line. There are a lot of questions.
Sure.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavik.
Thank you. Thank you
Our
very much.
next question is from the line of Mr. Sridhar. So please unmute yourself and ask.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Sir, first, congratulations on a good set of numbers. My question is, sir, on your proposed QIP. I heard you on the interview that you're planning to raise QIP. I'm a bit surprised, given the fact that the stock is trading at half book. Any QIP at this stage would significantly erode the interest of minority shareholders. And whereas your Canfin Home is trading at 2.7 book, and given the interest of private equity in the financial space, you can easily raise 2,500-3,000 crores just by, selling Canfin Home and come back for a QIP when your stock performance is much better. We're already seeing significant improvement. I'm just wondering, why would you want to erode minority shareholder and the majority shareholder? The government also stands to lose. Why would you want to do a QIP?
Let me clarify it. In the board meeting, which we are going to hold maybe after 1 week to 10 days, we are going to discuss the capital raising plans, including QIP, 81 bonds and Tier 2 bonds. So it is a plan that is going to be discussed and to have approvals. Whether we will execute it at what time, that depends upon the market conditions. We don't want to have an approval without having an approval for going for QIP or any other mode of raising the capital. It is only a provision enablement which will be available to us at an appropriate time to use. Now the second point is our subsidiaries. I have about 9 subsidiaries. I have about 5 joint ventures and also what we call Gramina banks, which is called associates. All are making good profits, and I am expecting that going forward, their valuations will be much more attractive. So as of now, we are not in a mood to dilute the stake. However, option is open. At an appropriate time, we may take a call.
Thank you, sir. But it still looks to me that, Canfin Homes at 2.7 and possibly if you do a strategic sale, you could get 3.5 book. That looks like a very high price to book multiple. And the board should seriously consider that. So my second question is on the, credit cost or provisioning. You had provided about 18,600 crores in for FY20 and about 17,500 for FY21. That's close to about 2.5-3% credit cost. If you can give some guidance, because you've been providing a very high number for the last 4-5 years. So when do we see some normalization and some guidance of what we could expect for 22?
Regarding your first question and first suggestion, we have noted it. Thank you very much for that one. Now coming to our second question, when you have interacted with me during March 20, when I have taken over the charge of this bank, the question was, your provision coverage ratio was 69.8%, roughly it is about 70%. Compared to industry average, during March 20, our provision coverage ratio was very less. So our aim was, first of all, to strengthen the balance sheet. And our aim is to see that the balance sheet is ready for the future also. So we have started making provisions reasonably, very aggressively, and the provision coverage ratio, we could take it to 86%. Now it is at 79.68%, which is a decent PCR. And going forward, we would like to maintain somewhere around this percentage. Now, another point is, you might have seen the results and the presentations which we have given. In that we said that whatever frauds we have declared in Q2 and Q3, generally there is a provision of dispensation to make provision in 4 quarters. And during the Q4, you have seen that we have made about 670 crores provision upfront for all the accounts which we have declared as fraud, so that no carryover will be there. That means, going forward, I need not worry for making any provision for whatever accounts I have declared as fraud. 100% provided. So in that way, and another point is, as I said, 500 crores more floating provision I have made to take care about the future slippages in Q1 of FY22, that is June. And also 494 crores additional provisioning I made for OTRs. All these things gives lot of strength to the balance sheet, and the balance sheet will be ready to absorb any unforeseen surprises, if at all it will be there. And we can predict the strength of the balance sheet today about the tomorrows. So this is why we make more provisions. And as I said, once we have reached 80% plus, that is a decent PCR, and we will be maintaining around that percentage.
So, sir, is it fair to expect, say, around 12,000 crores of provisioning? Just to get some sense, because obviously, as you said, 17, 18, these are very high numbers, and we are happy that you've provided a lot. But should we expect around 12 to 13,000 crores of provisioning for next year?
I can say the credit cost will be somewhere around 2.10 to 2.20.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Participants, please request you to limit your question to one per participant. We have next question from the line of Rishikesh. Please go ahead. Rishikesh, please unmute yourself and go ahead. Okay, we'll move on to the next participant. We have Amit. Amit, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Mr. Amit?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sir, first of all, congrats on good set of numbers. It's good to see that FY21 performance was better than the guidance. Can you now talk a little bit about guidance for FY22, specifically loan book growth, PAT, etc.? That's my first question. And the second question is, how is the top management assessed on the performance from the government side? Is there any specific target that you have received for next year from Finance Ministry or government?
First of all, thank you very much for your compliments. Now coming to the guidance, last time whatever guidance we have given, we have surpassed in most of the parameters the guidance which I have given, and in other cases we are almost near to that. This year we are expecting that our performance will be better than what we have shown in the last year. Because last year, first time we have experienced the pandemic, COVID, wherein we were not prepared well. Whereas now we are prepared well with proper policies and proper operating procedures. Now we can deploy people to work from home. At the same time, we are able to see traction in the results. So last year, if you see the business growth, in spite of pandemic, we have grown at 8.23%, whereas our guidance was 8. Regarding the deposits growth, we said that we'll be growing at 8% plus. We have grown at 11.5%. Credit, retail, we said that 6% will grow, whereas in retail we have grown at 12%, and RAM sector we have grown at 11%. Whereas in corporate, we have taken a very conscious call to be more careful in extending. Hence, the domestic credit growth was at 5.5%. CASA, as we said, to save the interest cost, we said that we will be concentrating on that, and we are almost at 34.33%. NIM, we have maintained at 2.75, which was our guidance. So all these parameters which we have said, we have achieved in spite of COVID impact. Going forward, we are finalizing the guidance in the next board meeting. However, I can assure you that our guidance will be better than what we have given in the last financial year.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And sir, about the second question.
Sir, sorry, but we have restrictions. We have next question from the line of Mr. Madhu Kela. So please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yeah.
Your voice is not audible.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations. Very, very good set of performance considering what happened in the whole of last year. So, and I think we aspire a real lot of confidence interacting with you over the last 1 year. Very, very clear thinking. So please accept all my compliments from heart.
Thank
you
very
sir.
Much.
What I just want to build upon what Sridhar asked actually. Sir, I'm personally little perplexed that while you say that your valuation of your subsidiaries will go up, there's no doubt they will also go up. But if you are not wanting to sell our subsidiary at 3 times book value, and we are still contemplating to raise money at 0.5 times book value, sir, as a shareholder, it defeats any logic. So I just want a little more insight as to what are you thinking, what is the bank thinking about this whole subject.
Thank you very much. Let me bifurcate your question into two parts. One is raising capital for the parent company, and second one is selling the stake in the subsidiaries. As I said, all my subsidiaries are doing very well, and all are profit making.
Yes, sir.
So as of now, I see that lot of potential in my subsidiaries, in my associates, in my joint ventures also.
Sure.
For example, I will tell you one small thing. Apart from this housing finance, we have Grameen Bank also in Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
It makes a profit of 286 crores.
Yes, sir.
So Canfin Homes makes a profit of 456 crores.
Yes, sir.
So I see more potential in my subsidiaries going forward. However, as I said, we will keep the option open with the permission of the board as board directs, and we are not closing the option. But as of now, we don't have any idea of diluting the stake. Going forward, we may change our strategy depending upon the market conditions. So that option is always open. Second one is raising the capital. Last time you have seen with the cooperation of all of you, we have come out with a QIP of 2,000 crores. And at that time also I had many questions like this. And people have responded very well. And it was subscribed 2.5 times, a public sector bank QIP. And 81 bonds you have seen, we have raised it 8.3%, which is a very, very competitive rate. Then we have raised it 8.5 also, not more than that. So what I mean to say is, we are very clear that all the options will keep it open. As per the market conditions, we will take a call at that appropriate time.
Sure. Sir, I just want to, thank you for the detailed explanation, but sorry at the cost of repeating. Sir, you will get the money. Even at 150 rupees, your QIP will get subscribed even 5 times. Because that is the confidence people have in you. But the whole question is, do we want to dilute at 0.5 times book value? And not sell the subsidiary at 3 times book value?
Yeah, I will put the answer in a different way. In the last 4 quarters, you have seen the performance of Canara Bank.
Yes,
and
sir.
People are observing. And they are observing
Yes,
very keenly. Maybe in terms of cash recoveries in terms of return of accounts, in terms of growth in CASA, in terms of growth in retail, especially in terms of non-interest income growth. All these things and the way in which we are aggressively making provisions and making the balance sheet future ready, I think people see a lot of potential in this. And going forward, I think people will understand the actual potential of Canara Bank, and the results will be visible.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And that's the precise thing which I'm saying, sir. I have one question also. See, last time when we did the QIP, at that time you had said that for 2022 and 23, our ROA will be 0.4 and 0.8. Are we still standing by that guidance, sir?
Sir, if you see our ROA, we have already crossed 3.6 for this quarter, 0.36, right?
That's right, sir.
And year as a whole, we said that it will be around 2, and it is at 2.23%. And quarter-wise, it is 0.36. So we are almost there, and we will be there.
Okay. Sir, one last question. Sorry, I'm taking a little time.
Please.
Can you, in this second wave, of COVID, and these are like the whole 2 months have passed by, do you see any meaningful impact in SME, MSME, or the agriculture book of the bank? I know the corporate side is being completely cleaned up. Do you see new set of problems coming because of the wave 2 of COVID?
It is a fact that there is impact. Nobody can deny that. And let me tell you, in terms of absolute figures, the collection efficiency was about 92% in March. Now it is at 88.8% for my bank. That means there is an impact of about 2% to 3%. The impact is there. But only one plus point is we are, I can say, sufficiently experienced to handle the second wave. Since first wave we have experienced and successfully we have come out with that impact. So our people are ready with the, I can say, experience and expertise to handle the second wave and to be in touch with the borrowers as well as the customers to see that the loan portfolio will grow and also the asset quality will be maintained. And wherever required, we are ready to help our borrowers in whatever way it is required as per the policies.
Okay, sir. Sir, would you say that in the second wave, the kind of people who are getting in trouble, they are really genuinely good people? It is only a timing mismatch rather than the account really going bad?
I think we'll be in a better position to assess the impact maybe in the first week of June. Because as of now, I think the impact what we see is about 2 to 3%. But I think in June we will be in a better position to say what is the real impact based upon the collection efficiency and also other parameters, credit growth and all those things.
Thank you so much, sir. And I sincerely wish the bank doesn't have to dilute capital at 0.5 times book value, because I'm sure in your hand we are going to see much better valuation in times to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Pranav Gupta. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Pranav, please go ahead.
Yeah. So just two questions. One is a continuation from the previous question. You said that collection efficiency has dropped from 92 to 88.8 odd% in April. But if you can qualitatively speak in terms of how MSME borrowers or agriculture agri-book borrowers are sort of behaving in this time. And secondly, if you can talk about any lumpy recoveries that we are expecting in FY22 going forward.
This drop of 2 to 3% we are observing in MSME and to some extent in retail also. Agriculture, no, because this is not the time for agriculture to repay, because it is a time for us to give the funds for the Kharif season.
Yeah. So, no, what I was basically asking was that, do you see, any material impact further? I mean, from April to May, given that, April end was where we started seeing lockdowns across the board. So has May qualitatively been worse off If so, then how much?
As per the April data which we have for our bank, as I said, the collection efficiency is now at 88.8%. So in June, because total May in most of the states lockdown is there, in June there will be some impact. However, because of the Reserve Bank of India's restructuring circular which has come and which we are going to implement in the coming week. Yesterday in the board meeting we have discussed about it, and maybe in a day or two circular will be issued to the people and people will be on the job. This restructuring may neutralize the adverse impact to a larger extent.
Okay. Then just the last question on recoveries. Are we expecting any chunky recoveries to come in like we saw Bhushan happening this quarter? Are we seeing any recoveries in the next couple of quarters?
Yeah, one account is there in the public domain, which is an NBFC.
Right.
I think in the financial year FY22, that account has to be resolved. And if it is resolved, I think every bank will get a hefty amount of recovery at whatever discounted rate.
Okay. Any other expected, or this is the only one, the large one?
As far as NCLT or just outside NCLT is concerned, where RBI is directly involved, I think this is the account which we are seeing. And other accounts are there. Naturally, in those things we will be getting. We are expecting that maybe around 2,000 to 2,500 crores will be recovering from the NCLT accounts. Maybe in terms of liquidation or in terms of resolution.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Participants, please request you to limit your question to one per participant. We have next question from the line of Maruk.
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So, my questions were that what is your total SME book, including the ones below 5 crore? SMA 0, 1 plus 2 in absolute terms.
Yes. First, let me give you the data regarding more than 5 crores. SMA 2, it is about 5,023 crores, which is about 0.7%. SMA 1 is 10,359 crores, which is about 1.47%. Put together, it is 15,000 crores, which is 2.17%. SMA 0 is about 7,500 crores, which is about 1.05%. So put together, total it is about 23,000 crores. It comes to about 3.22%. We are worried about this because these are the big accounts which are more than 5 crores, where if they don't fit under restructuring, recovery is the only way. Whereas in a smaller accounts, restructuring facility is available and it will be taken care. And in 12 months, these people, even if the lockdown and other things are over by the end of this month or maybe first week or second week of next month, they can pick up. So our worry is this 22,918 crores, which is SMA 2, SMA 1, SMA 0, which we are following it up very closely because it comprises of only 770 accounts. It is very easy to monitor. However, we are cautious about these accounts and we are carefully handling these accounts.
So, but actually the other banks like Bob and PNB have given below 5 crores in their prospectus. So just wanted to compare. So just as a comparative figure, if you could give the numbers included. Okay, and sir, just one last thing. How many employees have been infected with COVID in the second wave?
Ma'am, in the second wave, as of now, about 7,000 people are infected. However, the good thing is more than 75% people have been recovered.
Okay, so current number of infection is 7,000 employees.
Out of which 75% recovered.
Okay, but so 7,000 is whole second wave. What is the current number of infections, if at all you have?
You can minus that. That is the active infections.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Participant request you to please limit your questions to one. We have next question from the line of Mr. Ashok Atmera. Please unmute yourself.
You are not allowing me to unmute.
You will have to unmute yourself. Thank you.
I already unmuted.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So first thing to the moderator, that allow me some time, because some of the earlier speakers have taken even 3-4 minutes. I'm just asking for a few observations and questions. At the cost of repetition, sir, let me congratulate you for yet Prabhakar Saab for another set of very good results. The whole team, of Mukherjee Saab, Mani Maklai, and now Satyarayanji Raju, I think you all done a fantastic job, sir. Having said that, sir, I have got some couple of some information point and also confirmation and some queries. This our profit for this quarter includes sale of priority sector lending certificate of 84 crore and 790. So 875 crore has been taken in the profit of this quarter. Am I right that this 1000 crore of profit includes the 875 crore of profit?
No.
Okay.
It is only 85 crores.
85 crore is included in this quarter. And is it going to be a consistent kind of a thing? And what is the...
Here, let me share some facts and figures with you, sir. If you go through our priority sector portfolio, as per the norms, 40% is required. We are at 52%.
Okay.
Agriculture, 18% is required. We are at 26.81%. Small and marginal farmers, 8% is required. We are at 19.48%.
Great.
So this is the potential which Canara Bank is having to sell the PSLC certificates in future, provided we get good rate.
Okay. Sir, my second observation is that you also said in the earlier answer that you have got almost about 9 subsidiary companies. And I see, some of them are repetition. Like now you have got Sind Bank services also and Can Bank services also. So I want to just understand, any thought is given on the restructuring of this entire subsidiary portfolio to cut it down? And secondly, except these 3 subsidiaries, other side, we don't see any major, because if you look at the total consolidated profit and the standalone profit, the total addition of profit is only 55 crores from all these 9 subsidiaries, as against the huge investment in those subsidiaries and the efforts which you are putting in even from the central office also. So any thought on this, except I think Canara Robeco, which is 51%, and maybe I think you are factoring, and so I just want to have some color on this subsidiary business, computer services.
Yes. Let me bring to your notice some facts. We want to have subsidiaries, and the issue is how best we can make these subsidiaries perform better and better every quarter. At head office level, we have started one separate vertical to monitor and to handhold these subsidiaries, which is headed by a very experienced general manager. Today, they may be giving us a positive results, may not be much significant compared to the parent bank's performance. But however, once these subsidiaries already they have started performing, they are in the way of giving the good results. Going forward, these subsidiaries will be giving lot of resources to the parent company. So our aim is to nurture these subsidiaries and to guide them. And in 3 of the subsidiaries, I am the chairman. So I see the potential, and we are hopeful that going forward, all the subsidiaries are going to perform. However, as suggested by you, as and when required, in future, we may think of coming out of these subsidiaries if required and if the market conditions are suitable for us.
What about, sir, Canara Bank Securities?
If you just see the figures, Sind Bank Securities, as on March 20, it was making loss. Once it has come into our folds, it has started making profit. So yes, everything is in our radar, but we will be taking decision at an appropriate time.
Okay, sir. Now, sir, this coming to...
Sir, sorry, sir.
Just one question. Just one question.
Yes, Ajmer Raji, please, carry on.
Sir, I have a couple of, but anyway, I will take it offline. But one question, sir.
I am available to you offline. Anytime you can drop in or you can call me.
Sir, this out of this 50,000 crore, the COVID loan which has been announced by the Reserve Bank of India, have you formulated your policy and what kind of interest do you see? Will you take it at the repo rate and equal amount of the loan which you disburse, will you give it back, getting that 40 basis point benefit? Any thought on that? Anything has been done on that, sir?
Yeah, we have done a lot of homework as far as medical services financing is concerned under this COVID loan book. And already we have sanctioned more than 1,200 crores worth of loans for this medical loan book. And we are expecting that we will be comfortably sanctioning and disbursing about 4,000 crores to 4,500 crores.
Sir, will it include the NBFCs for onward lending to the medical under this category?
It is our direct lending, sir.
But will you consider the NBFCs also for the increasing the amount for the onward lending under this?
It is there, but whatever figures I am telling is the finance which we are going to do directly from our office, from Canara Bank to the borrower.
Thank
Okay, sir, thanks a lot because time is a constant.
Thank you, Ajmer sir.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Mr. Pranav Tendulkar. Please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello,
Yes.
Yes, thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, first of all, in terms of fresh slippage, if I consider whatever was considered in pro forma last quarter, and then what we consider what is classified as slippage this quarter, I see that actual slippage is just 4,000 crore, right? Fresh slippage doesn't mean fresh slippage from all the pro forma NPA difference. We have to subtract that from 14,495 slippage that we have reported. And that difference was around 10,000 crore. So actually this quarter slippage seems to be only 4,000 crore. Am I right in that?
Exactly right, sir. Because if you see our September and December slippages, it was hardly 300 crores, 395 crores because of the Supreme Court's direction. And during the Q3 results, we have already declared and uploaded in the website the NPA, which we are not classifying because of the direction of the Honorable Supreme Court, otherwise could have been NPA. It was so transparent. And if you take that into consideration, your calculation is 100% correct. Slippages are under control and including everything, full year, it is only 16,639 crores.
Right. So that is one question. Question two is that you had actually up till quarter three, I remember 1903 crore of COVID provisions. Now in your notes to accounts, you seem to have taken 863 crore out of that in this quarter provisioning in P&L. You utilized 863 crores and you have done 500 crores plus provisions for the COVID for future quarters. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually the provisions for COVID that are outstanding for the next quarter says 1903 plus 500 minus 863. Is that right?
Here there is some clarity has to be given. What we did is wherever required, we have made aggressive provisions account-wise also.
Right.
And over and above that, what we did is for the next quarter, taking into consideration whatever slippages may be there, we have made about 500 crores floating provision and 494 crores for resolution for OTS.
Right.
And we have also utilized about 670 crores to make full provision for whatever accounts we have declared as fraud in Q2 and Q3.
Right.
So basically what we did is we have seen that the provision coverage ratio account to account is increased significantly. Over and above that, this 500 and 494 we are having, which can be utilized in the coming quarters. Apart from for delayed RP also, we have made about 447 crores, and others we have made about 120 crores, and 125 crores again we made for this interest reversal also.
Right. So outstanding COVID provision, other than say, so for example, restructured 494 crore that you are saying, other than that, there is no provision buffer remaining for future, right? Other than the
As of now, if you have to say it is a clear provision which is available is about 500 crores plus 494 crores. Apart from whatever we have already adjusted or accounted for account to account, which could have been done next quarter, but we did during the current quarter itself.
Right, sir. So you on media you gave a guidance
would request you to
last question from my side. 2% of slippage guidance that you have given, right? So around 14 to 15,000 crore for the next year.
We are anticipating about 14,000 to 15,000 crores year as a whole. There will be slippages, and our recoveries will be more than that.
Right, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from the line of Ms. Samya Agarwal. Please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, sir. Your press release mentions, your press release mentions that you will be setting off the accumulated losses against the share premium account. So just trying to reconcile some numbers here. The accumulated losses were around 9,200 crores as at end FY20, and it now stands at around 18,500 crores. So could you please give some color on what has led to this kind of increase? And secondly, how much would be the share premium account outstanding as on date? Thank you.
Oh, very good question, ma'am. Ma'am, I request my CFO to kindly interact with you, ma'am. Please, Ramchandran.
See, out of 18,000 crores, 9,000 is
switch on the mic.
Out of 18,000 crores, 9,000 crores is of our unit one, that is the Canara Bank, and after merger of Syndicate Bank, it has increased to balance amount.
Okay. And how much would be the share premium account as on date?
Yeah, I will come back, madam, for that exact amount. Share premium account, I will come back.
Okay. And sir, just one more
Share
view.
premium account is 30,000 crores.
30,000 crores. 30,000 crores, is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, sir, just wanted to understand the thought process. While I understand this is meant to clean up the balance sheet, but how comfortable are you that this exercise will not lead to accumulation of losses in the future? So, just wanted to understand your thoughts on that.
Madam, by adjusting the accumulated losses from the share premium account, there will not be any deterioration of any of the financials. It is only the improve our distributable surplus for the AT1 bonds. Otherwise, there is no impact on the financials anything.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is from the line of Mr. Anil Bang. So please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. This is Anil Bang from Marshall Ways. Thank you for taking my question. You have given some clarification on net interest income. Just wanted to understand properly. So reported net interest income for fourth quarter is 5,600 crore approx. You mentioned there were two reversals of 125 crore and another one of 600 crore. Does that mean that the underlying net interest income in the fourth quarter should be around 6,300 crore odd? That's first, just to confirm that. And should that be a good starting point for the June quarter onwards? Thank you.
Here, the 600 crores which you have reversed, that is because it has to be reversed. Since we have classified the accounts as NPA, that is an accounting procedure, so it has to be excluded. And this ex gratia, which is to be given to the borrowers where the outstanding is more than 2 crores, for that we have reversed about 125 crores, to give to the concerned eligible borrowers. However, the amount is coming to about 104 crores. So, however, we made an interest reversal of about 125 crores.
Okay, got it. The 600 crores in provisions was lying in provisions on accounting wise?
That 125 crores we have reversed and we have kept aside, which has been now adjusted to the extent of 103 to 104 crores. We have credited the customer's account and the remaining balance is available.
Okay. And another 600 crore which we have reversed, was that in the provisions line? That is why it should not be added back to NII?
No. That is as per the accounting standards we have to reverse. Since the accounts are classified as NPA, interest booked as far as those NPAs are concerned, that has been reversed.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like for next quarter, this item won't be there. So the underlying net interest income should be higher, right?
Yes, you are right.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next question is from the line of Mr. S.K. Agarwal. So please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Basically, I don't have any question, only expectation. My first encounter with Canara Bank was in 1979 as a professional encounter, and I found the people to be very disciplined, committed, hardworking, ethical, and I had a very high opinion of Canara Bank. And same way, the only bank in my hometown was the Syndicate Bank. So I found the people from Canara Bank are really true banker. But now, as a result, I have put in my whole life saving into the bank. As a retail investor, I hold about 50,000 shares. The family put a pressure to sell it off. But I'm very sure one day I will see Canara Bank in league with HDFC Bank. That's my expectation. And two, whenever you dilute your equity, it should come as a right issue rather than QIP. That is all, sir. Thank you so much.
Your suggestion is well taken, sir. But one thing I can tell you, in the last 5 quarters, if you see quarter on quarter, each and every parameter, we are strengthening the balance sheet and we are becoming more and more transparent so that every analyst and investor can go through it and understand how the balance sheet is going to behave in the coming quarters. Thank you very much, sir, for all the confidence you have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from the line of Ms. Mona Ketan. Now, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Hi, sir.
A clarification on one of the previous questions before I move on to my question. So, the interest reversal of 600 crore that you mentioned, 400 crore of this is already taken in Q3, if I'm correct, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this quarter, the impact was only to the extent of 200 crore.
No, ma'am, it is 415 plus 600. It is about roughly 1,000 crores. Since in Q3, for Q4 expected slippages, we have made provision. That has helped us. In the same way, for the next quarter also, we are making around 500 crores of floating provision, which will take care. That's the thing, ma'am.
Okay, so 600 pertains to the pro forma slippages only for this quarter, because previous quarter you had already made the... Okay,
yes.
Okay, but sequentially your pro forma slippages have come off. So a little surprising that your interest reversal amount is higher for this quarter versus previous quarter.
Pro forma NPA, whatever we have projected in Q3, for that we have made a provision of around 415 crores during Q3. Now in Q4, apart from that, other NPAs also we have recognized, and total amount reversal is coming to around 1,000 crores. So additional 600 crores we have reversed.
Okay. And my other question was on your deposit rates. So is there any scope for further reduction in the TD and SA rates for you?
Ma'am,
it's coming
as on
under
date,
the context. Yeah.
As on date, if you see, we are very conscious about the inflation also, so that my retail depositors, especially retail term depositors, doesn't leave us. That is why we are maintaining good interest rates, and we are experiencing a growth of about 16% as far as retail depositors are concerned. Since savings bank is increasing, our cost of deposits is slowly reducing, and in bulk deposits also we have managed a lot, where we are not accepting any bulk deposits at higher rate. All the high cost bulk deposits we have already paid. So that is how we are managing the cost of deposits, and it has come down to 4.52%.
Okay. So my question was coming from the fact that your CD ratio has declined from, say, about 69% for the consolidated entity as on March 20 to about 63% today. So with that kind of a credit to deposit ratio, maybe even a further reduction in deposits will not harm, because you have a lot more deposits than the kind of lending that we are doing.
Ma'am, if you see the CD ratio, it is not 63%, it is 66, almost 67%. Now, the issue is, in retail, we are growing at 12% plus. In RAM segment, we are growing at 11% plus. Only in corporate, we are a bit cautious. And once the economy picks up, we require resources at a low cost to finance the AAA, AA, and other corporates where the uptake will be very huge. At that time, if you don't be ready with your low cost resources, especially deposits, you will not be in a position to compete with the market to lend to the highly rated customers. So, as I said, we want to be future ready. That is why we are accepting the deposits, however, at a reasonable rate, and also to have the retail depositors to bank with us continuously.
Okay, got it. And lastly, if you could share the breakup of slippages for full year of about 18,000 crore.
Ma'am, in this, about 30% to 35% is MSME. Agriculture is about 20%, and retail again 30%, and rest is corporate and others.
Okay. And would it be possible to have the same numbers for last fiscal slippages, which is FY20?
Why not? We can share with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Due to time constraint, we won't be able to take any more questions. I would like to thank every participant for asking the questions and joining the call. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to Canara Bank Investor Cell. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, Prabhakar sir, I thank you all and all the senior management team for giving us this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. I'm looking to host you again. Thank you so much.